Good evening, or afternoon, or perhaps even morning, depending on where you are, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us here. I'd like to welcome G-Man to the stream. Hi, G-Man.
Hello, Adam.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Let me get the volume turned down. I forgot to turn the volume down on the stream, so I
Uh,
was getting echo, but I've got it now. Everything's good here. Great to see you and great to see everyone in the chat.
yes, thanks so much, everyone in the chat, for joining us. And we're just going to have a bit of a chat, I guess, but I thought it'd be nice if we spoke a bit about scams and the sort of scams that don't. I mean, because we tend to deal in. Well, mostly at the moment it's just SSA scams, isn't it? That's all that there seems to be at the moment. But there are
Yes.
a lot of other kind of scams out there. Obviously, Scambait Central and Mr. Pricky deal with the 419 scammers and romance scammers. There was actually I have another friend who's a police officer, and he was telling me today of something I'd never heard of before, which was called Cash for Crash. Have you heard of this, G-Man?
Yes, you're talking about where people have the accidents for the insurance.
Yeah, but it's like what they'll do is they'll park in front of someone and then reverse into the car behind so that it looks
Yes.
like they've been rear-ended
Yes,
when they
that goes
haven't.
on here.
See, this is something I wasn't even aware of. I mean, I guess people will do anything for
Oh, they
money.
will. Anything for a dollar. And that scam has been going on here. Gosh, I know for 20 years, maybe longer than that. It's been around for quite a while here in the States.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I'd never heard of. It's something that never even crossed my mind. I think most kind of generally law-abiding citizens wouldn't think, right, well, I'm going to crash to get some insurance money or anything from the other person. Isn't it a bit risky as well, though? Because if you don't, insurance companies, they normally look quite deeply into what's actually occurred. And especially, let's say the person behind has a dash cam, then
Right.
it's not going to go well.
That's true. And see, of course, 20 years ago, that was something you didn't have to worry about was dash cams, and because they weren't available. But in this day and time, yes, that would be something that you would have to worry about. And get this, during my career, I remember, I don't know, two or three people that got arrested because they drove up on a wreck scene and they got out of the car and laid down on the side of the road pretending that they were involved in the
Oh,
accident.
wow.
People will do anything to get insurance money.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's kind of innovative, but yeah, not.
It is, I mean. But when the guy that legitimately had the accident tells the police, I don't know what this guy's problem is, but he walked over here and laid down.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
And Chris has mentioned as well the cash flip thing, which I believe, Chris, it is still a scam now. Neither G-Man or myself use Instagram, but I think it's a scam that only really happens on Instagram. And I think you'd have to be kind of naive to fall for it, but I suppose you could say that about any of them to an extent. But the cash flip scam was an interesting one because it was. Are you familiar with this scam, G-Man?
No, I'm not.
So it's basically like someone will say on Instagram, they'll be like, right, give me $100 and I'll turn it into $200 for you because my friend works in a bank and we can just flip the money. That's what they would refer to it as. So they'd be like, and these scammers, they're normally based in America. They're normally actually American people just sort of trying their hand at getting some money. And
Right.
because no one can go into a bank and just go, yeah, just change that in the system to double your money. I do have a video on my other channel, guys, if you haven't seen it, called Spitting Bars with a Cash Flip Scammer, where I actually spoke to one for a while, and we did a little bit of rapping together, which was interesting, but strange. But it was, it's weird because I find I get into kind of a comfortability with the IRS or the SSA scams or even the tech support scams because you hear the same kind of Indian accent and you hear the same script and you're like, right, there's no question of a scam. The moment someone doesn't have an Indian accent, I start to question it. I'm like, is this really a scam? They don't sound Indian, but then you just have to go through with it. I actually spent, what was it, about 50 minutes, like 50 minutes on the phone to a guy who was pretending to work for British Telecom or not pretending in the end, but a guy, he sounded really suspicious. And so I ended up talking to him for ages and going, it's like, you are a scammer, you're definitely a scammer. And he's like, no, I'm on the books with British Telecom. And I ended up making a conference call with him to the official British Telecom line. They actually found his file. He was, to an extent, legitimate, but it sounded so much like a scam. You can almost see why some of these scammers aren't aware what they're doing when they go into it.
Exactly. And let me tell you this. About 2 years ago, when I bought my new computer, it's a Dell. It's the one I'm on now.
Mm-hmm.
I'd had it a couple days and I had a problem with it. So I went into the Dell chat window where you can chat with a technical support person. And I was chatting and he made the comment. He said, you need to call me. I need to get into your computer. I said, okay. Well, I knew I was on the legitimate Dell website. So he gave me a number to call. I called. And I lie to you not, when he answered the phone, this is what I heard. Thank you for calling technical support.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, oh my God, is this guy a scammer or what? But I told him who I was, and he said, yes, I was just talking to you in the chat window. I said, where are you guys located at? He said, sir, we are in the New Delhi, India office.
Yeah.
I said, okay. And I was very hesitant, and he knew I was. And finally, he actually came out. He said, sir, I am not a scammer. This is legitimate Dell tech support. And
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I believe you because I dialed the number myself. So, but it was just weary to hear that, after all the scam baiting calls I've done.
Oh, absolutely. I think if they say, though, like, I'm based in New Delhi, well, I don't want to obviously give scammers any ideas or anything, but it would make it more believable. Because when they go, oh, I'm in New York, and you go, what time is it? And they're like, it makes it quite obvious. But if they say, right, I'm in New Delhi or I'm in Mumbai, I'm not saying in all cases, but it's less likely, I would say, to be a scam.
Right. And it turned out the guy was super, and he helped me, and he got the problem solved. And I told him in the end why I was hesitant, and told him who I was and that I had a scam baiting channel. And I even gave him my channel. He wanted to know my channel name. He wanted to see some of my videos. And so it turned out good. But a lesser known scam that I got familiar with several weeks ago, and I have a video on my channel, is I call it the death scam.
Okay.
And Sherry Ashton is the one that informed me about it. These people called her aunt and saying that so-and-so had just died and they needed a copy of his death certificate, his social security card, blah, blah, blah. And they needed a copy of her power of attorney papers and her driver's license. Well, Sherry talked to me about it. Me and Sherry came up with a plan. We called, and Sherry was playing the part of the deceased one's niece, and I was playing the part of Sherry's uncle. And we talked to him for a few minutes, and then that was when he decided, he wanted the death certificate and all this. And we kept saying, well, that's fine. We'll send it to you, but tell us what are you wanting with our relatives? Why are you calling about our relative? He's deceased. And they never did come out and tell us. So that's a new scam that people need to be on the lookout for. And I have that video on my channels. And if you haven't seen it, you really should watch it to see how this scam works.
Oh, I'll need to check that out. And feel free to post a link if you have it into the chat there, Gina, because that sounds interesting.
Let me get Sherry, would you mind posting that link for me? I would appreciate it. And because Sherry's in the chat, she will do that, I'm sure. So, but yeah, it's a different type of scam. I've never seen one like that.
No, the one scam that's kind of quite sickening, and that's because of sort of the darkness that surrounds it. I don't know if you're aware of this, G-Man. There was a boy in Scotland, I think it was last year, and it's a scam that I nearly fell for, and I have made a video about it on my other channel, so I don't mind talking about it. It's a little bit embarrassing, but it's the sex scammers.
Sex scammers.
Have you heard about this, G-Man?
No, I have not.
I'm sure I've spoken about this scam briefly on this channel before, but I'll give you a sort of a rundown again. Now,
Yeah.
I was at a point in my life where I was very lonely, and I wanted to meet someone nearby, and I went on this site which I wasn't aware of just
You
one
were at the point I'm at now.
day.
I'm just kidding.
Well, aren't we all? And I went on this site which was called Adult Friend Finder, which is a very, very not very well respected site. It's not a site I would ever advise anyone to use.
Right.
I was living on the outskirts of London at the time, and I got loads of messages. I honestly thought I was being like quite clever. And looking
Right.
back, I was being very stupid because like these people it would be like girls in cheerleader outfits. Now in the UK, we don't have cheerleaders. So some beautiful blonde girl would message me saying, "Hey, what are you up to in a cheerleader outfit?" And I'd be like, "You're not real. Stop messaging me. I want to speak to someone real." And this went on for a while. Eventually, one of them, I just kind of was sick of all these people messaging me and being fake. And one of them was like, "I'm not real. I'm not going to talk to any of you or trust you until I see you on camera." And the girl went, "All right then." And then I should have realised it was my own stupidity at the point. I should have realised because when she came on camera, she was very attractive, but she was Asian. She wasn't the girl in the pictures.
Right.
And I think she gave me some kind of BS reason as to why she had used someone else's picture or something. And anyway, then she encouraged me to, well, she also was involved. Let me make that clear. But to perform an act that should be mostly kept private.
Right.
And this went on for a few minutes. Now, I don't know why I invested so much trust in this person so quickly, but she was like, "Move the camera so I can see your body and your face at the same time." And I just went, "Okay," and I did it.
Wow.
Yeah. And after about, I don't know, maybe 30, 45 more seconds, her camera changed and it was a video of me in that act playing back. And yes, of course, and I had already given her my Facebook. And she then sent me a list of all the names on my Facebook. And at the time, I was going out with a girl from Galicia in Spain, who she was living in Spain, but I was in the UK at the time. But like we were together, and like that was the first name on the list of people. The second name was my mum, and it was like literally the names she had chosen were all names that I didn't want anyone to see it. But in that moment, you just panic. And she basically then said, like, "You've got to send me $500 or I'm going to post this on YouTube and send the link to all your Facebook friends." And I was like, "What do I do here?" And I was panicking. I was like, "Honestly, I don't have $500. I think if I had had it, I would have just paid it straight away." So it's probably a very successful scam. Now, I was very fortunate in that I kind of thought, I don't have this money, I can't give the money to her. And we'd been talking on Skype at this point, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to take my chances. And I just blocked her and reported her on Skype. And it wasn't until maybe 2-3 years later that I found on Facebook there was an others folder for people that aren't your friends can send messages into. I'd never known it. And in there from 2 years ago was her going, "You better send that money now or I'm posting this video." Of course, it never actually did get posted. I called their bluff. You can't upload something like that to YouTube anyway.
Right.
So it would have been taken down very quickly. But this was long before I did anything with YouTube. And so I didn't... I wasn't really aware how it worked or anything, but you're so panicked in that moment. But there's actually a much darker side to this scam, and I don't think it's an isolated incident. But there was a boy in Scotland who was being blackmailed by one of these sex scammers. The situation was almost exactly the same as what I've just explained, and he threw himself off the Forth River Bridge because he was so worried about what was going to happen. And yeah, I mean, that's sometimes, and I know I've been trying to kind of calm down a bit with scammers, especially with YouTube's guidelines and stuff. But sometimes those things pop through my head, and that's why I get very angry at them sometimes. Like it pops in my head, like the actual destruction and mental problems and the extremes that they can send just innocent people to with their scams. And that, I mean, obviously the sex scam, it's an incredibly worrying one because you're going to be like, that's my body out there for everyone to see, and this sort of thing. I even told my parents what had happened eventually. And my mum was like, "Oh, I wouldn't have minded." And I was like, "Yeah, well, that'd be weird, Mum. Don't say that." And but yeah, like looking back, I was a fool. But yeah, when you start to think about the actual effects that these scammers can have on people and how detrimental it can be, totally innocent people, all because they want to make a fast buck. And I think some of them themselves they don't even consider that. They go, "Oh, all Americans and all British because they're Western culture, they got loads of money, it's fine." Um, and it does. Sometimes I do lose my cool with the scammers because those things pop through my mind, and I see the one that I'm talking to on the phone as the embodiment of every scammer ever, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then they receive the full force of my um, angst towards them.
I have heard of the sex scam now that you explained what it was, and I think it's still going on actually. And I've heard of people here getting a phone call saying if you don't give us $5,000, we're going to put all this on Facebook and on the internet. And when in reality they don't even have nothing on you.
Mm.
So
No, it's a terrible practice. And
it is.
yeah,
Can I tell a quick story?
of course.
This I just seen the bashful scam baiter there, and that's Terry Moore, I believe.
It
Terry
is.
Moore, check your telephone when you get a chance. You'll see a text I sent you earlier. But anyway, earlier today, I was in Luke Dogg's stream before he went on the air live, and it was going to be about 10 more minutes before he goes on. So I decided I'm going to run to my kitchen real quick. I've got a cantaloupe. I'm going to cut it up and eat some of it while I'm watching Luke stream. Well, lo and behold, I'm in a hurry with a big, sharp butcher knife, and I lay my left hand open.
Ooh, was it deep?
It was deep.
Ooh.
I live alone. Blood was everywhere. I grabbed a towel, and blood was all over my clothes. I knew I was going to have to go somewhere. So here I am trying to change clothes with one hand, which is nearly impossible. And I'm wrapping another towel around my hand. And finally, I get dressed and get out my vehicle. And before I went, I tried calling a lady down the street who was a nurse, but she was not home. But I go walking into the First Health place here in my town, which is about 3 miles from me, luckily. And she's in there working. And I look at her, I go, "My God, where were you when I needed you?" She said, "Well, I'm here at work where I'm supposed to be. What did you do?" And I told her. She said, "Oh, good Lord, come on back here." So she took me on back, and the doctor came in and looked at it. And he said, "I'm not going to put stitches in it," he said, "because I would have to put too many." And he said, "I would have to put stitches on the inside and then on the outside."
Ooh.
He said, "What we're going to do," he said, "I'm going to clean it up real good and put some stuff in it, and we're going to use a special glue it shut." And he said, "You will have to wear the wrapping, for a couple weeks, whatnot." So that is why I missed Luke Dogg's stream. So it's Luke's fault, and I'm going to blame it on Luke for that. And I'm sitting here now with a big roll of gauze on my left hand, and we'll have to have it that way for, I guess, a couple weeks or more.
Well,
That's my story
positive,
today.
looking on the positive side, at least it was your left hand.
Well, that's true. I am right-handed. So.
I was about to get really personal. I was about to say, well, I'm actually left-handed, but for other things I use. Why am I saying this out loud?
I don't even know how to. I don't have words to even come back for that. I don't want to say thank you.
Well, when I crashed my car, I actually twisted my right wrist for a long time, very badly. So I had to get used to doing a lot of things with my left hand. Although I've always written with my left hand, which is odd. They told me when I was a kid that because my handwriting is basically illegible, I should have been a pharmacist.
Right.
But I went to a special handwriting course when I was about 14, 15, and the guy said, "You're right-handed, but because you've picked up a pen with your left hand and written with it for the last 14 years, it's too late to change that. That's why your writing's so appalling."
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently, Happy Day, apparently, it might make me smart, but also I think aren't like the most evil people in history all left-handed as well? Wasn't Hitler, Walt Disney, and Ned Flanders were all left-handed?
Yes, they were.
So it's
Some
funny
of the most
little,
intelligent people in history were left-handed. Einstein was.
well, I don't know about intelligent, but um, there was another scam I wanted to talk about, and it's completely slipped my mind now. Now
There
I'm
was
just thinking
another one
about
I want to
injuries.
talk about, and it slipped my mind too. I'm trying to think of it. It's heck to get old, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the trouble. Yep. Well, my friend as well, he was telling me, due to sort of, I don't think he minds me mentioning it. I'm not sure if he's listening to the stream, but due to some sort of quite tragic recent events, he's part of a widowers group. And he was saying that there's people that sink as low as pretending to be widowed and going into these groups to try and find like women that have received large inheritances and start relationships with them to take their inheritance or take their money from them. And I think when someone's been through that kind of grief, that's really disgusting.
Oh yeah. Listen, let me tell you about this one. The one I just told you about that Sherry and I did on my channel. After she and I did that video, we were doing some follow up, and I found out that these people also will actually go to a visitation at a funeral home, and they will carry legal papers with them. And they will tell the husband, the wife, whoever the surviving spouse is, they will say, look, I'm sorry about so-and-so's death, but he had a contract with us and he owes us money and we need to get that settled. They will actually go to the funeral home and do that in person.
Wow.
That's low down.
Yeah.
That is low.
Yeah. I think when you're going through something like that as well, like there's a lot of companies that fail to be, I'm not even talking about like scammers now, but fail to be kind of accepting of the fact. And like you're saying, well, I want to, let's say, for example, close my partner's bank account. And they're like, right, well, your partner can do that. And you're like, but they're dead. And they just can't seem to comprehend that it's such a, it's a time. Anyway, let's not get into tragic, depressing things.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I wish I could think of that other scam I was going to, because there was another one, but it slipped my mind. Sherry, what was it? You and I talked about it. Give me a hint. Okay.
Well, I get emails constantly at the moment saying that your Microsoft account has been closed. I'm like, well, I don't have a Microsoft account. What are you talking about?
Well, your license key may be expired.
It probably is my license key.
You need to check.
I get a lot of, I've got a lot of kind of scam emails. I did try my hand, and speak of the devil, here's Mr. Pricky. I did try my hand at 419 scam baiting, but it's a lot hard work to try and get them on the phone. You have to go through a lot of email correspondence. I even got phone numbers from a couple of them, but when I phoned, they just wouldn't answer. Mr. P is the guy to go and see about that sort of thing.
Right.
But it takes a lot more build up, for example, than just phoning someone at the end of a telephone. I was quite pleased, and I'm sorry, well, I was going to say I'm going to plug my other channel, which I guess most people are aware of here, because I've got a premiere there in an hour and 20 minutes of unsurprisingly, an SSA scam. But the number I actually got from that SSA scam was my friend. They had called him, my friend in America, they had called him earlier today, and he was like, can you give these guys a call back? It's pretty cool, because every time he gets a scam call, which is like once every couple of weeks, he's like, here's a number for you to call. And for some reason, it sort of feels more personal. I'm like, I really want to destroy these people because they tried to scam my friend, if that makes sense.
Right.
In fact, that kind of brings me on to another topic that I've seen. You're not on Twitter, are you, G-Man? There's been a lot of people talking about ethics in scam baiting and videos being faked, mostly in regards to the tech support things and people claiming. Right. What do you make of that?
I think a lot of videos are being faked. I think that some so-called scam baiters are purchasing subscribers, for lack of a better word.
Well, I think I know who you might be
Yeah, we
thinking of.
won't call names, but
No, we won't say names, but yes, I think yes. There's
you're
been
well
some,
aware. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about for
yes.
sure. And do you think they're doing it? I think they are.
I the thing is, it's difficult because when you see someone's channel blow up, it's kind of motivating. At the same time, you can't help but be a little bit envious and go, well, why have they got 100,000 subscribers and I've been doing this for 4 years and I've been stuck on the same for the last 3 weeks.
Right.
And it's, I think it's kind of natural to feel a bit envious. So I don't want it to come across as like, well, they don't deserve it or whatever. I mean, it's all a good cause. Now, the person that you're referring to, I know there's some suspicions that some of those calls have been faked as well, and they're not actually talking to scammers, which I think when you're doing something as scam baiting or prank calling scammers, you should be following a certain code of ethics with it. Like, if you're doing something that is to generally help the public, and I mean, if your channel gets big and you make money from it, then fantastic. I mean, isn't that the dream for everyone, doing something you love?
There you go.
And getting paid for it, that's great. But if you start going, well, I'm going to fake this to get more views, or I'm going to sub bot or buy views, then you are almost, in my opinion, as bad as the scammers themselves, because you're scamming your audience.
Oh, definitely, you are. And to me, that is just as bad as what the scammers do. Because I can honestly say I have never bought one single sub.
No.
I've never faked a video. Now, I do edit my videos.
Oh, yeah.
But I do not change the meaning of the actual call. I do add some sound effects to it here and there, some pictures, but I do not change the actual meaning of the call. I would never do that.
No, absolutely. And I think the difficulty for me is in regards to the person that someone said who we talk about. We've said we're not going to name names, Andrew, because that would be not very morally correct.
Right.
I know there's not a huge amount of people here, but you start naming names and people go over to the other channel and start saying horrible things. And, we never encourage any kind of hateful or bad comments. So it's best just to keep these people anonymous. But in regards to that person, there was a huge jump in subs that I've never seen on any channel whatsoever. And I followed, people that aren't scam baiters that now have 1 million subscribers. And I've watched them work their way up. Like one of my favorite YouTubers, a guy called Stephen Tries, who makes some very funny little sketches. And I've followed him since he had about 70,000 subs, and now he's up to 786,000. But he's also got peers that he collaborates with, whose channels seem to have got a lot bigger than his quicker. But anyway, the kind of in regards to that one channel that we're talking about, it went from it was something like 700 to 80,000 in the space of 2 weeks. Now, I don't think personally scam baiting has that big of an audience for that to happen. I know you've got exceptions like Hoax Hotel, Lewis, and Scammer Hotline, who have absolutely blown up for certain reasons. But they've worked hard for it. Like someone like Scammer Hotline, I really like his content, and it's nicely edited, so it's enjoyable to watch because he uses manga style characters and stuff. And I haven't spoken to him for ages, but I actually used to talk to him quite often, and he's a really nice guy, down to earth as well. Well, I wouldn't say quite often, but 2 or 3 times. But you can see those people have worked for it. But that kind of leap is kind of unprecedented. And sorry, guys in the chat are asking what we think about Hoax Hotel being demonetized. I think that's pretty shit to demonetize someone's content. I believe the reason he received that was because they claimed he was reusing other people's content or something. And this happened to me. Not me, I didn't get demonetized, but someone re-uploaded the 15 most popular videos on my channel to a different channel, and it took me a month to get YouTube to take it down.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't know how their protocols work, how a channel that doesn't have any re-uploads of someone else on it can then be demonetized, whereas someone else can just steal someone's content, re-upload it for their own gain. And And then
And it's impossible to get anyone at YouTube to talk to an actual person. It's impossible. You cannot do
no,
it.
no. When I first became monetized, and I built up a nice chunk of money because I couldn't get the monthly payment because of my living in Spain. It was you have to prove your home address. They have to send you a code to your home address, and then you have to put it into Google. And I did get to speak to them, not on the phone, but I had to go through like an email thing. Oh, but it was Google. It wasn't YouTube actually that sorted that out for me. In regards to like ethic practices as well, I know of one scam baiter. I probably I wouldn't say he's a scam baiter. He does other things like tech stuff on his stuff. He's not someone that's any part of our community, but he did something that I found to be incredibly disgusting, and I just thought, if that's how you treat people, and I should explain what happened here. Couple of years ago, I was kind of having a thing with a girl I'd met through YouTube who was very attractive. YouTube seems to be where I source my women from these days.
Hey, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, and she was very attractive, and we kind of had a thing going on, and she was quite, I would say, devoted to me at the time. But she was also a bit of a scam baiter groupie, and so she would leave comments on other people's videos and stuff. But she sent me these screenshots, and basically she was chatting to this guy. Now she was, I think, 30, and this guy was about 22 or 23. And she sent me he'd been sending her direct messages on Twitter, and it started off fairly friendly, and then I went through the thing, and then he was like, right, send me nude pictures, and she was like, I'm not going to do that. And he just turned. He was like, I've got a channel with 30,000 subscribers. I could make your life a misery if you don't do this. And she showed it to me. I was like, that's disgusting. And then she sent something back saying, like, I've screenshotted this if you want it to go public. And I think I can't remember if I suggested I would or if I did, but I think I also sent a message and saying, look, I've seen this as well. So that's this. But if that's how you think it's okay to treat people when you're making videos which are valiant, if that's the right word, and yet you treat people like that outside of it, you've got no business being a scam baiter because your ethics are fucked.
Right. I agree.
But yeah, that guy, I have no time for him. I don't think anyone would be able to guess who he is in the chat. If someone guesses it, I'll certainly confirm it, but I don't think anyone will because he's always been quite detached from the community.
Yeah. I think I know who you're talking about, but I'm not going to say. I would rather not
type
say.
It to me, G-Man, if you think you know. Type it to me because I want to know if you've got it right.
But I do want to bring up another scam that's lesser known. And Sherry reminded me of it. The police spoof scam is big here in the States. You will get a call on the telephone, and the caller ID number is your local police department. And some guy gets on the phone, you know, that they're with the police department or either the Police Benevolent Association, and they're taking up money for the wounded officers and officers killed in the line of duty, blah, 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 and all this. And turns out the police department does not get the money at all. And Sherry Ashton in her hometown, she got the call, or someone in her family did, and she actually went to the news media with it, and they actually covered it, and here recently. So, you know, hats off to Sherry for that, getting some coverage on that in her home state. So, and I was sitting home one night, and all of a sudden my phone rings. And this guy says, sir, this is so-and-so with the North Carolina Highway Patrol. How are you? And I sat there a second. I said, I'm fine. I said, this is who? And he told me the name again. And I said, what can I do for you? He said, well, we're taking up money for the troopers killed in the line of duty in North Carolina. I said, oh, you are? He said, yes, sir. He didn't realize who he was talking to. I said, well, tell me more about it. So he went into this spiel. And then finally at the end of it, I said, well, sir, let me tell you something. Let me tell you who you're actually talking to. I said, I am a retired trooper from the state of North Carolina. I did it for 30 years. And I said, I can promise you the North Carolina Highway Patrol does not solicit, and it tells you that on their webpage.
Right.
He didn't know what to say. I mean, I'd lick the red off his apple. He said, well, sir, understand, I'm just doing a job. I've got a script to read that they put in front of me. I said, well, I said, you need to get, you need to do some checking, or somebody at your company does. I said, because what you're doing is illegal. And I said, and I am going to report you to the Highway Patrol tomorrow. And I said, they will take it up with their legal department, which I did. And they did follow up on it. And they were able to get it shut down in North Carolina. Now, I don't know about other parts of the country or whatnot, but I was able to get that one done away with in North Carolina, the one where they're saying they're the North Carolina Highway Patrol, because North Carolina Highway Patrol does not do that.
Yeah, I mean, when I've been sourcing numbers, I've quite often come across those police donation ones, and I've always been apprehensive to make a call to them just in case they are legitimate, because if they're doing something good, I don't want to accidentally start calling them up.
Right.
So that's one of the scams I've never really kind of dared to call, because I'm not familiar with how it works. I don't think there's many or any really videos of them online that you can find, because it is sort of, it's a bit of an odd one. I mean, it's very, again, more disgustingness from the scammers of using a good cause to try and get money from people. I mean, people will say or do just about anything these days to get money, won't they? I mean,
yes, they will.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just agreeing with you. Yes, they will. They'll do anything to get money.
I suppose if I phoned one of those police donation things, and again, of course, this is partially why so many scams running out of India is a problem. If an Indian man answered, I'd probably be like, right, this is definitely a scam. But it might just be an Indian man living in America working there. And that's kind of why the scammers in India, it's like with your tech support thing and being wary about they're letting them into the computer because he had an Indian accent. So they make jobs harder for people that are doing similar but legitimate jobs.
Exactly. And the tech support guy that I had, that was the legitimate tech support guy. He said those same exact words. He said, yeah, he said, the Indian tech support scammers, he said, they make it hell for me on my job. And which is true. I mean, there's no way around that. So, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, so... Oh, and yeah, coming back to this, but like people that are faking their kind of, I remember Captain Corrosive made a pretty good video on this a while back, actually. But people that are faking, like, the trouble is I've got no technical know-how. That's why I get Mark Skeletinsky to help me out so often. And he's probably the one who would know a bit more about this, because if someone showed me a video and I wouldn't know if what they're running is correct or fake, I couldn't tell the difference. I know there was a video by a guy a long time ago that was really odd, and at the time I felt that it was fake, and it had over 1 million views. And I think I know this is the big trend in the moment, because apparently like people's channels just seem to blow up if you can make this, but like if you can make a video called going into a scammer and files and deleting them or something to that effect, you get so many more views, because young people today are really interested in the technical side of stuff. But there was a video, and it was called something along those lines, but it was filmed on like this potato camera phone that was filming the computer. And when the part actually happened, when they were supposedly in the scammer's computer, it just went blank on the screen. And I was like, well, that to me is not right. Like, you should be showing us this is really happening. What we're meant to just take your word for it. And it was odd because I remember the video at the time, and I'd never seen any scam baiting video like that, that had an almost exact amount of likes to dislikes. It was like X amount of people had gone in there and gone, this isn't right, this is fake. And even I was kind of like, well, no, it does look fake because it just looks awful. But it gained a lot of views. And I think people will do just about anything if they think they're going to get views from it. But again, it comes back to like, well, if you want to help people and waste scammers' times, then you've got to think about the ethics of your practices when you're making a channel. Because personally, I think if as easy as it might seem to you or I to go, right, let's make that video and pretend that we've destroyed the whole scam tech support call center, but we haven't really, but we'll get 2 million views and 100,000 subscribers. It's very easy to do that.
Oh yeah.
And to go, well, that's an easy way to make my channel grow. But at the same time, it's going to come back and people are going to go, well, this guy's got no integrity. This guy's got no compassion for his audience. If you're willing to trick your audience, then you've got no business being a scam baiter, my personal opinion.
Right. You're nothing but a scammer yourself. And
Yeah.
Adam, in all honesty, I could hang up from you right now, record a call. I could go into the editor, edit some sound effects into it, and I could have it sounding like I am shutting down a call center.
Yeah.
I could do that and have a video out in less than 1 hour, and it would be believable. I would never do nothing like that, but that's how simple it can be done. And there's people that do it.
Yeah, and that's depressing. That people will go so far. I mean, because it's like we said with the scammers, they'll do anything for a buck. And the fact that there's people who are perhaps not part of our community of scam baiters, but a part of the overall community of scam baiters that do that is pretty depressing.
It is. Did you by chance see the video? I know we were talking about the police scams a minute ago. Did you see the video that Joe Scambait did with the robocaller of the police benevolent, the Kentucky police or something like that? It was hilarious.
I haven't seen that. I should check it out.
He was getting the robocall to repeat itself. I've never seen anyone do that, but he did.
I'll have to check that out. I haven't watched some Joe's stuff for a little while, actually. I like to go to his live streams, so I've not noticed any new uploads. So apologies, Joe, if you're listening at any time. I will go back and try and check it out.
Yeah.
It's difficult because there's so many videos out there. Like,
oh, I know.
You can't go and watch everything all the time, and especially like I hope people don't take offense to this, but when it's what you do yourself, sometimes you can be a bit like, well, especially when you're listening to the SSA script for the 16th time.
Oh gosh, I get so tired of it.
Well, that video I'm uploading, which will be on my other channel in about an hour. In fact, I think most of it is just him talking. It's mostly just their script. And it just goes on so long. But yeah, when like it's fantastic, everyone kind of fighting for a good cause when they're doing it ethically and legitimately. That's great. But there's such a plethora of videos out there. It's difficult to keep up with everyone's videos, and also not to kind of drain yourself mentally of listening to the same script you hear when you're making your own calls all the time.
It is, and that's just like Friday in my live stream Friday. I was on a Social Security call. And I was so ready to hang up on this guy, but luckily I kept him on for like an hour and 15 minutes and had a pretty good meltdown at the end. So it turned out to be worthwhile.
I miss the meltdowns.
I'm sorry?
I miss the meltdowns. I don't seem to ever get meltdowns anymore. They just hang up on me. Oh, actually, I don't want to spoil the surprise for people, but there was one bit in the video where I heard the scammer whisper under his breath, Terry McAchute.
Yeah.
It's like, yes. But you get, that's why I got cocky, because I was like, this guy is going to explode when he finds out I'm just playing him along. But then he just hung up.
And actually, during my stream Friday, I called a number. And a scammer answered the phone, and he's recognized my voice. And this guy has recognized me like 4 times. But Friday, it turned out he thought I was Luke or Joe Scambait Friday. But anyway, the next time I get this guy, because as far as scammers go, he's a pretty nice guy. He will actually talk to you for a few minutes. But I want to try to get him lined up for an interview on my show if he will do it. Even if he has to call me on a Saturday morning and I have to record it. And I would love to get an interview with a real scammer and one that would be honest.
Yeah, well, I've actually got a couple of videos like that on my channel. They're quite old. They're never the most popular ones. The people always just want to see meltdowns and silly things. I've got one where the guy, I think it's called IRS Scammer, exposes the whole operation. And I was listening to it with my friend when he came to visit the other day, because I was like, well, this is a good one for you to listen to understand what's going on with the scam and this sort of thing. And but we just, it was when I used to have a friend, he's not made videos for ages, such a lovely guy though, called Hickstar. When I first started doing scam baiting, he was doing it around the same time, like me, Miller, Music is a Rainbow and Hickstar, we all were kind of, I suppose now you could say we were OGs to an extent, if you're familiar with the phrase.
Right.
But Hickstar kind of gave up and has disappeared. I haven't heard from him for ages, but he was good again because he's young at technology, and he helped me because looking back, like some people were in the comments were not that happy about it. They were like, "Why are you protecting a scammer's identity?" But I was like, well, at the same time, this guy's given us, because we distorted the voices. The trouble is, we couldn't just distort his, so my voice sounds super weird in it as well.
Right.
And we distorted the voices so that's to protect him, because we didn't want to get him, because I believe during that as well he says like he could be possibly at a risk of violence if he leaves and that sort of thing. Of course you can
Definitely.
you can never fully go, okay, well, what a scammer tells me is true, but I've got a couple of videos where they've opened up and they've chatted to me. I mean, the thing, if they show respect, if during it they go, I know what I'm doing and I know it's wrong and I don't want to do it, then I won't abuse them or call them names. I'll just be like, right, well, tell me about your situation. I'm curious as to how you got this job and how it happened. And of course, at the same time, it's also hopefully obtaining information that can be used for us to stop the scams happening.
And that's the way I am too, Adam. If they tell me that, I'm not going to abuse them. I will listen to them. And but hopefully this guy will, the next time I get him, hopefully I can get him to do that. And I'm like you said, I will offer him. I will tell him, I will distort your voice and there will be no identifying features of you anywhere in the interview. So hopefully that will happen.
Yeah.
We will see.
Yeah, no, it's quite interesting. Some of them are quite willing to open. I suppose we had Lisa the other night. Obviously, that stream didn't go so well in the end, but yeah,
good old Lisa.
Yeah, but she was kind of opening up to an extent, wasn't she?
She was, and I think she was being honest. That's just my personal opinion. I think she was being honest with you.
Yeah, no, I think I've got no reason to say they're not being honest, but at the same time, you can't sort of. I was pretty wasted that night, so I can't remember much of what she said. To be honest,
it was good, and she spoke very well, and to me, I thought she was being truthful. It seemed that way to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you've got no reason to doubt that.
Have you ever made a call, Adam, and it's like the stars just line up for you and it just turns out to be a perfect call?
Yeah, I've had a couple. The weird thing is those ones, they've never become popular.
Well, that's the same situation I'm in. About 3 years ago, I did a call one day and I got a scammer. We started doing the scamming bit and I decided just off the spur of the moment to turn it around and that I was going to be the scammer and he was going to be the scam baiter. So I start talking that I'm with the IRS and you owe us back taxes. And I start playing the part. Well, he starts going along with it. And lo and behold, it turned out it made a pretty good video, but the darn thing, it never caught on. But I listened to it last night. I went back and listened to it last night. It's one of my favorite videos of all the ones I've ever done. But for some reason, it just didn't catch on. But I thought it was one of my better ones. But I had a ball with that one.
Yeah, well, I think that's, if you're enjoying it, that's the most important thing too. I mean, people have just said in the chat here, like, and they weren't even the videos I was thinking of when I was thinking the stars aligned. Drunk Gary, of course, and Brown Debbie. I mean, Brown Debbie was just a bit silly.
Right, I see that.
Gary, in fact, when I made that video, I was on painkillers and had been drinking a lot of that, and I can't go back and watch it because my mouth is gurning while I'm talking to Gary, and I'm like, look how drunk this guy is, and then you look at my face, you're like, well, this guy's fucked himself. So it's a bit of contradiction. But yeah, no, those were, I mean, the one I think, and I don't know if it's just because it's more fresh in my memory, but the one I had the most fun with was the tech support scammer. It's quite recently about he was going to root himself with the Diagno stick, and because it was, I'm sorry if I'm blowing my own trumpet a little bit here, but I didn't say anything like rude. I just took his words and made them into innuendos, and so he's going like, I'm going to root myself with the I'm going to, because he says, I need to root the diagnostic. And I'm like, you're going to root yourself with the diagnostic? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, right, well, I'll help you do that. If that's your dream, should we get Guinness Book of Records on the line? I'm like, how big is the diagnostic? And he's like, well, it's going to take about 15 minutes. And I'm like, well, that must be massive. That's going to take a long time for you to insert that in yourself. And he doesn't even pick up on that. I really enjoyed that call. And there was another one a long time ago, and I can't remember. I think I called it something like the most stupid scammer ever. And I can't remember it that well. I remember I had my camera pointed so my camera's just looking at my forehead for the whole video, so it's not I mean, not that looking at my face is that great, but it's not particularly pleasant just to look at my forehead for the whole video. But if you actually listen to what we're saying, it's one of my favorite and funniest calls. But yeah, it's odd because my video that's most popular, I don't think is very good.
Well, I'm the same way. The video of mine that is my most popular video of all time, I didn't think it was that good, and I still don't. But everybody else, it's my most popular video, and so I guess it is what it is.
Yeah, it's strange. I don't know. Maybe the algorithm just picks certain things up or something, or maybe there's something. When I went back to the UK to visit friends at Christmas time, and like one of my friends who I've been close to for a long time, but he'd never really watched my YouTube channel. And I'm not the sort of person that says to my friends, "Oh, you've got to come and watch it." He now does come on some of my streams and stuff because they took him long enough to realise that I'm a very entertaining person. But he was like, he was like, but I'm not the sort of person that would go to my friends and go, "Come and watch it." In fact, when I started YouTube, I wanted to keep it very much on the down low and not really let my people in real life know what I was doing. But anyway.
I was the same way, Adam, exact same way.
But so I showed him, and he said, "Well, let's watch a video of yours." And I said, "Okay, well, let's watch the most popular one." And we're watching it, and he's laughing, and I think he's laughing more just out of kindness. And I'm like, honestly, mate, it's boring. You can turn this off. I've got much better videos than this. But yeah, but for some reason that video's got 2 million views. I have no idea how that happened.
Wow. I'm nowhere near that.
Well, that was very fortunate. I wish I knew the formula from turning those views into subscribers, though.
Yeah. That's like Luke. He recently had a video to hit 1 million.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for him. I just cannot imagine having one to do that.
No, but it's kind of anticlimactic, to be honest. It's not as exciting as you think. Like sometimes, like people that didn't know it, they'll see it and they'll go, "Oh my God, you've got a video of 2 million views!" And but when it hit 1 million or when it hit 2 million, it wasn't like, "Yes, I've achieved something." It was just like, okay,
right. To me that, and I know all scam baiters are different, but to me the highlight of a live stream to me is the 5 minutes before I end my stream, I sit there in the chat with my viewers, and correspond with them. That is my favorite part of the stream. But I know I wouldn't be able to do that without doing the scam baiting. It all works hand in hand.
Oh yeah,
but that is my favorite part of it.
I mean, part of the reason I actually started this second channel, which has mostly become podcast might be a grandiose way of putting it, but a talking stream channel. But was because I wanted to do things to see if I could be entertaining without just doing the scam baiting. Like I've made a few little sketches and things on here. It's very difficult when you live pretty much alone, though, to do everything single-handedly if you want to make something that's interesting and good. I mean, I think I've got good ideas for funny sketches and things, but also quite often I think of something funny and then I'm like, do you know what? I could use that in a video. In a scam baiting video, I could say, okay, this is funny, but I could use that to make a new character.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I do the same thing when I'm doing my morning workout. That's a lot of times that's where I come up with my material at, is while I'm doing that.
Yeah. It's a great way to actually test out new material. In a way, like it's been kind of fun doing the scam baiting stuff because some of my characters, both Sir Edward and Julio, have actually come from things I did when I was doing stand-up comedy. Sir Edward's a bastardization, I think you would like that word, of a character I used to do that was called the Worst Best Man. And I used to just do a best man's wedding speech, but it was like really horrible, and it would sort of divulge these horrible details about the groom and then about how everyone had had a go on his wife and this sort of thing. And it was just like the most cringeworthy, most horrible wedding speech ever. But the voice I used for that was the voice that then became Sir Edward. So
Wow.
it's kind of, because it does YouTube, especially being in Spain, I'm not able to do stand-up comedy like I was back home. So it is nice to have some kind of outlet. You'll never get that same feeling as when an audience is laughing and clapping directly in front of you, though, sadly.
Yeah, that is true. I've been in front of a live audience several times, not for scam baiting, but back when I worked in radio, we used to do. Are you familiar with the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Do you know, I've never seen it, but I'm familiar with some of the songs and the costumes.
Okay. We used to host, it was called Rocky Horror Friday Nights at a local theater. And we would do it at midnight every Friday night. And people would come, and you had to bring toast with you. You had to bring water. You had to bring rice. You literally act the movie out as the movie plays. And I would MC it practically every Friday night for probably, gosh, at least a year. And so, I know what it's like to stand in front of an audience. That was a long time ago, though, and it was for a different reason. Of course, I wasn't doing stand-up comedy by no means, but yeah, I know where you're coming from.
Yeah, that kind of direct audience participation, though, it's a feeling you can't quite emulate with YouTube. I mean, it's nice when everyone says complimentary things, or when you're live and a call goes really well and everyone's like, "This is great," but it's never the same as getting a round of applause at the end of an act.
Yeah. A train just left and I wasn't on it, so I lost my train of thought.
Well, yeah. So I actually had an opportunity to do stand-up comedy when I first came out here, and I bottled it because I wanted to go to the amateur open mic night, and the guy asked to see a video of me performing, and it was very complimentary, and he said, "No, I don't want you on the amateur night, I want you on the pro night on the Thursday." And I was like, "No, that's too much pressure," and I bottled it and didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then, because I stood him up, I never dared get in contact again about doing it, because they had like an English comedy night in Barcelona city centre, and also I lost all of my old Julio clothes. I lost my flowery blouse and my oversized suit.
Wow. I wonder, the Rocky Horror fans that we have in the chat tonight, I wonder if they know that Meatloaf got his start in the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I didn't know that.
He played as Eddie, the motorcycle guy, the guy that they cooked and ate when they had the banquet. And he wasn't called Meatloaf then, so.
Well, this sounds more messed up than I realized that movie was. I know there's like a huge cult culture behind it.
Oh, yeah. And Eddie was a motorcycle guy, and played by Meatloaf, and he sung the song Hot Patootie, Bless My Soul, and it was a good song. And did you ever hear Tim Curry sing the Sweet Transvestite song?
That name sounds familiar, Tim Curry.
He's the one that played as, oh gosh, somebody help me out. I can't think of his name in the movie, the main character. It wasn't Rocky. Rocky was the blonde-headed guy. But anyway, sometime you're on YouTube, do a search for Sweet Transvestite and watch Tim Curry perform that. It's amazing. Frankenfurter, that's right, Frankenfurter. Thank you, Roca. I appreciate that. You know who Tim Curry is, don't you, Adam?
Is he not like a songwriter, composer?
No, he did music in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but he's an actor. He played in Home Alone as the hotel clerk.
Oh, do you know what I've done, G-Man?
Gosh, he's played in a lot of stuff.
I've got him confused with Tim Rice. Tim Curry, Tim Rice.
Okay, so, no, Tim Curry, he's played in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, Tim Rice, I think, is a British songwriter. He writes songs for, like, musicals and things. I think I'm right in saying that. But, of course, Curry, Rice, you see how it's quite easy to get them confused.
Right. Exactly.
So, yes, I'm not really familiar with Tim Curry. Speaking of odd songs, I listened to some pretty weird songs earlier today because I was trying to find one for the end of my video. So I found a song called something like "We All Love Come," which was interesting, and another one called "A Horse Cock is a Beautiful Thing" or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, an interesting afternoon of listening to music I could use for the end of
It
my
sounds
video.
like it. It sounds like it. Are you familiar with the song Adam In-A-Gadda Da Vida?
Which song, sorry?
In-A-Gadda Da Vida by Iron Butterfly.
I'm not, no.
Okay. I played the full 17-minute version of it in my stream Friday night. I didn't know if you were familiar with that song or not.
I'm not, no.
It's a acid rock song from like 1968. Still very popular. It has a huge cult following.
The title sounds familiar, but the band Iron Butterfly, not at all.
Yeah. Give it a listen sometime if you're, one of your nights when you're partaking.
Yes, not this
want to
evening.
kick back and be mellow, give it a listen.
After last weekend, I think I'm going to have a week off drinking. Well, anyway, I'm saving money now because I'm going on holiday soon. So.
Oh, geez. In my stream Saturday night, I drank a whole bottle of red wine.
One's not enough for me. I think I might have a problem.
Well, honestly, I could have drank more, but I didn't. But it was good. Jeez, it was good stuff.
Yeah, let me see. When I go to here in Spain, I don't know about there in the US, but here wine is so cheap. I go in and I'm like, oh, and they're nice wines. I mean, they're all Spanish. They don't it's not in the UK where you can get wines from around the world. You can only get Spanish wines, but they're not bad, and you can get them for like €2.50. And I'm like, well, I know if I drink one bottle, I'm going to want at least a couple more glasses afterwards. So I end up buying 2 bottles of it. I know the song Stonehenge, Candy S, from Spinal Tap. Have you seen Spinal Tap, G-Man?
Yes, I have. Yes. The original one I have. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't. I think was there a remake of it?
I don't know if there's been a remake, but there's been several. I don't know the word. Spin-offs, mock-ups, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, yeah, no, it's a fantastic movie. In a way, it was almost the precursor to The Simpsons because it featured like 3 or 4 of the people who went on to become producers, and I think voice actors also in The Simpsons.
Right, and the thing about In-A-Gadda Da Vida, Adam, the song was originally called "In the Garden of Eden," but when they went into the studio to record it, Doug, I can't think of his last name, he was the lead singer. He was so stoned and so drunk. He could not pronounce "In the Garden of Eden," and it came out In-A-Gadda Da Vida. And luckily, the producer in the studio had some brains, and he left it alone. He knew it was a classic.
See, that except for the word "Garda," Da Vida would translate in Spanish to "the life."
Oh, really?
Yes.
It was. I don't know that it means anything other than that was the sound coming out of his mouth. Instead of "In the Garden of Eden," it was In-A-Gadda Da Vida.
Well, that's I'll have to check that out.
Listen to it. It's great.
If you could only listen to 3 songs for the rest of your life, what would they be, G-Man?
3 songs for the rest of my life. One of them would definitely be Pink Floyd's "Brain Damage" / "Eclipse." I love that. Another one would be Steve Winwood's "While You See a Chance." Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite songs of all time. And number 3, it possibly could be In-A-Gadda Da Vida. I like it that good.
Yes, I do like a bit of Pink Floyd, although I'm not that familiar with the song you're mentioning. I think was that on Dark Side of the Moon? Because that's the album I had.
Yeah, "Brain Damage" Eclipse. Yeah, it's on the Dark Side of the Moon.
Sure, I'd know if I heard it. I just love Money.
Very popular. Still played on radio stations today.
Well, Money was, I think, my favorite song on that album.
And in my opinion, "Brain Damage" and "Eclipse" probably gets just as much airplay today as anything off of the Dark Moon album, on Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah. Obviously,
How about you? If you only had 3 songs, what would it be?
oh gosh. If I could only listen to 3 songs for the rest of my life. I think because I go through periods of sort of falling in love with different genres and then not listening to them for ages again. I'm trying to think of like the songs that I always come back to. Um, I don't know if you'll be familiar with this, but I think one song I always come back to is called Brand New Scar by the Mad Caddies. Uh,
No.
yeah, it's sort of they're quite a not particularly well known ska punk band, but they make really melodic music as well. Uh, I don't think I could go the rest of my life without a rap song, so I'd have. But which rap song would I choose? Uh, Again, that's a tough decision. What's Golden by Jurassic 5.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're familiar with Jurassic 5.
I am
Oh, good. Yes.
somewhat. Yes.
Yes. They made really nice, non sort of aggressive hip hop music, so I really enjoyed that.
Hmm.
And my third would have to be some sort of absolute banger that I could dance to. Um,
Like Diana Ross song you were dancing in the window to the other night.
oh no, did I tell people about that?
Yes, you did.
Oh gosh.
Your dad thought you were gay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I made my own dance routine to Chain Reaction.
But it was a great story, Adam. It was a great story. It was funny. It was fun.
Um,
If I could have 4 songs, my 4th song would be Aerosmith's "You See Me Crying." That was a
oh
song
yeah.
was not that popular for Aerosmith, but it's a great song.
Uh,
Adam, by chance, do you know who my first ever concert was?
no.
It was in 1974. My mother took me to see Elvis Presley.
Oh wow.
And this was before he had gained the weight and everything, and just a fabulous show.
Yeah.
And because I had never seen a man walk on stage. Well, it was my first concert, but he walked on stage and he didn't have to sing. All he had to do was stand there, and women were just, going crazy.
Yeah. Yes,
And
they did for Elvis, didn't they? With his
yeah, I sat
unsightly
there.
dance routines.
Yeah, and I sat there and thought, geez, I don't know what it is this man's got, but he's got it, and what a way to make a living.
Yeah. I know what my third song would be. I think it's called Wallflower. I'm not sure that's the definite title, but it's by Marvin Gaye. But it's really upbeat.
Wallflower.
It's I used to go out and party. Sorry, I can't sing. Like every night until somebody come and pick me from the wall. That's
I,
probably not a good way for you to.
I know the song. I think it is Wallflower.
Yeah, that's it's not one of like everyone when you say Marvin Gaye they think of sexual healing or heard it through the grapevine, but for me it's just such an upbeat, fun song. And Marvin
To me,
Gaye,
the greatest Marvin Gaye song of all time is also the greatest makeout song of all time, and that is "Let's Get It On."
oh, and of course, let's get it on. Yes,
That's the greatest makeout song in history. Lots of babies were conceived with that song.
I've been really trying. But yeah. Yes, Marvin Gaye is my favorite male vocalist of all time.
Yeah,
Oh, and I
he is
feel
great.
guilty. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I said he was great.
Yeah, I feel guilty because I haven't managed to fit an Amy Winehouse song into my list, and she's my favorite female vocalist of all time.
Yeah, she was good.
Oh yes, so tragic. Someone asked me the other day, I think it was on a live stream, and they were like, "What celebrity death really affected you?" And I was like, "Actually, it was Amy Winehouse." And it was one of those things because my friends, we've always been into like ska, punk, hip hop, rap. So it was one of those things I didn't really share with my friends how much I would listen to Amy Winehouse when I was alone. But when she passed away, I remember I was driving my car on the way to visit my parents, a long 7-hour drive, and I heard and the radio was playing her music all day, like because she had passed away.
Right.
But yeah, she was a fantastic singer. I can't remember the first concert I ever went to. I don't think my parents ever took me to a music concert. So I think the first concert I ever went to would be in my late teens. I saw Green Day at Wembley Stadium.
Oh yeah. Well, see, my mother, I got my love for music from my mother. She was always playing music in the house. And she loved Elvis, and she wanted to take me to see Elvis, and she did. And, I was glad she did. It was a great show. And the one in 1974 was. And I will never forget, and we talked about this one time when I was on the radio, me and another jock, we were talking about concerts. And I said, one of my greatest concert memories is when I seen Elvis in 1974. And he's standing there and they dim all the lights and they put a blue spotlight on him and he starts playing the guitar and he starts singing, "Are You Lonesome Tonight?" I said, well, when he did, about 5,000 ladies approached the stage and all of a sudden underwear starts getting thrown on the stage. And
can I? Oh, sorry.
I will never forget that. I can still see that in my head.
I don't know if I should admit this. In my first year of having a YouTube channel, I got underwear posted to me. I didn't ask for it. It was just posted to me.
Yeah.
I'm quite pleased that it happened. I totally forgot about that.
Well, but that has happened to me once or twice.
Funny,
but not like it did with Elvis.
Yeah, no, it's not happened since. When I had like 1,000 subscribers, yes, it was actually the lady that I mentioned earlier who did it. So I was.
Yeah, she's the same one that did it to me too.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm just kidding, Adam. I'm just kidding.
Well, probably she would, but no, the one I mentioned about the guy sending horrible messages to, it was her that sent it to me, and I didn't suggest it. She was like, "I want to send you a care package with like some American candies and chocolate and things in it." I was like, okay, and when I got it, there was also, if you really want to know, Happy, I don't think it was washed. I don't think it was clean. I think that's kind of the point, isn't it? I don't really know. So
now I didn't physically have them shipped to me. Maybe I should have explained that better. I had them posted to me in chat or either in an email.
Yeah.
Not real ones,
You guys are all so disgusting. You know how I feel about poop jokes. Stop it. There was no skid burns.
I was going to bring that up next, Adam. I'll tell you about some of the things I seen when I was with the patrol, man.
CK, you can send a care package if you'd like to. I really need to get a PO box because the only way people can send me things is if I give them my home address, which isn't always the smartest thing to do. Well, I'm living in Spain and I'm not here for long. I doubt people would turn up on the doorstep.
Sherry, they do. Sherry says people sell used undies online. Unfortunately, they do.
I heard, I don't know if it's a myth, and it's I don't know if this is an urban myth or not, but in Japan, apparently you can buy used underwear in vending machines.
Jeez.
Yeah. They've got a very different attitude. Well, I think even the Americans do, especially compared to us reserved, stiff upper lip Brits, but a very different attitude towards sexual things in Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, so there you go. If you want to buy some used panties, go to Japan.
Go to Japan and get them out of a vending machine.
Exactly. You don't even need
Andrew says he's moving to Japan.
Of course he is. Well, my friend nearly got a job in Japan, and he was actually sent back he got there and ended up spending one night in a hotel and was told he's not allowed to work in Japan because he had a criminal record, nothing violent or horrible. He just got caught trying to grow a couple of weed plants, which is a bit ridiculous, but yeah, they wouldn't let him into Japan. And he was really excited. He was saying that like Western men in Japan apparently get treated like superstars. Again, I don't know if that's the truth or not, but one day I'd like to go to Japan.
Don't know. Never been there, but like you, I would like to go. I would like to go there and to China before my time is up here on the earth. Which if I would have lost much more blood today, my time would have been up.
Yeah, well, you be careful with those cantaloupes.
Yeah, gosh. I was just trying to be healthy, have a healthy snack, and lo and behold, had to go to the emergency room.
So one more musical question, G-Man. If you could only
Yeah.
have listened to one album for the rest of your life, what would it be?
One album, that's easy. Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, okay, good choice, good choice.
I've got that on an iPod, and lots of times when I can't sleep at night, which is every night, I put that on and I play it over and over. I think I have memorized every note on that entire album.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's a great album. I remember when I just discovered smoking weed and someone played that album, I was like, this is amazing. Oddly, the first time I heard Bob Marley Stir It Up, I was like, what the hell is this? Now I love it, but at the time I was like, this is really weird. Because it's got
Yeah.
quite like bouncy bass line. Boom, boom, bum, 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 bum. And I was like, what is this? Some kind of children's TV theme. But now I love that song.
But Adam, you would be surprised if you could see my playlist because I have opera on it. I have classical. I have a little bit of everything.
I like a bit of classical. There's only some classical I like. I like Pachelbel's Canon in D. I like Bocelli's version of Conte Partito. Good Time to Say Goodbye was the English version of that song.
Oh, I love Andrea Bocelli. He's one of my favorites.
There is a song in The Sopranos. I remember the scene, but I can't find it. There's a scene in The Sopranos where Carmela is talking to two female friends in a cafe, and they're playing Andrea Bocelli in the background. And that song I love, and I can't find out which it is. And they're actually talking in the scene about Andrea Bocelli, about how he's blind and making these songs and stuff.
Right.
So I like a bit of opera. I actually saw Bizet's Carmen in the open air theatre in Verona, but I was like 14 and too young to appreciate kind of the cultural benefits of watching something like that. And my family, we had 3 seats and 1 separate seat because it was me, my mum, dad, and my uncle, and 1 separate seat. And I said, I'll go sit in the separate seat. That's fine. And so I went and sat with like some other people, and at the interval, the family the people that was sat around me, my mum said, did he behave himself? And they were like, well, he didn't say a word. I think he was asleep. Like, the trouble was, it was all in Italian. I had no idea what was going on.
Right.
But there you go. But it was nice. In fact, it was a really nice little trip to Verona because we went and saw the balcony that Romeo and Juliet was set on as well. But anyway, yes, that was my.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Jonathan Antoine?
I haven't.
He's from over there in the UK somewhere, I believe. And hello, CG Rooster, great to see you. But he's another one. He sings in the style of Andrea Bocelli. He's very good.
Oh, okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yep, Jonathan Antoine. He's a young guy. He's like 21 years old.
If you get an opportunity, now I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I really like my comedy songs. But there's a group, they only made, in fact, it's got one of the guys from the original UK version of The Office as the singers in it. And it's like a sketch show, but it's like there's like maybe 3 or 4 different songs called Fortissimo. But they're singing rap songs in an opera style, and it's actually really listenable.
Wow.
So they're singing like Snoop Dogg songs, but they're meant to be like a parody of, I guess, Il Divo.
Uh-huh.
And so they're singing. Oh, so he gets literally mentioned Il Divo as I said it, but yeah, they're singing like them, but they're singing like Snoop Doggy Dog in an opera style and things like this. It's quite funny.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Puddles the Clown?
I have. He did.
Oh, I love Puddles.
Yes, I really like his version of Sears Chandelier.
Yes. Have you heard him do Pinball Wizard in the tune of Folsom Prison Blues?
Oh, yes, I have. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I don't see how he did that, but he did it.
Yeah, I mean, he's worked quite a bit with Postmodern Jukebox, hasn't he? And I really like their stuff as well.
Right.
Yeah. But in fact, speaking of embarrassing things, as I told you guys the story about the dance the other day, I have a penchant to listen to like really vocal songs and try to sing along with them. And one day I thought I was in the house alone, and so I put on the original Sia's Chandelier. So I'm giving it, I'm swinging from the chandelier, like, at the top of my lungs. I didn't realise my housemate was in and heard the whole thing, and he came out and was just laughing. I was like, oh, why don't I check that I'm alone?
Jeez, just like the time you were doing the Diana Ross thing.
Exactly.
But I like Diana Ross.
Yeah, no, I weirdly, when I was a kid, my music tastes, I got really into 60s Motown and soul. Like all my other friends were listening to, pop music of the time. My namesake, for example, Adamant, I was actually named after Adamant. Not because my parents loved him, but because my sister did. And they were going to call me, oddly, Edward. And then my sister came home one day and said, why don't you call him Adam after Adamant? And so they did. So that's who I was named after, was the singer, Standard Deliver singer Adamant.
I'm well familiar with Adamant. Goody Two Shoes.
Yes. But yeah, I remember my mum took me to the music shop in town, which I would later end up working in for a decent portion of my life. And the tape cassette I picked out was a double tape cassette, the best of 60s Motown and soul. And I loved every song on there, with the exception, and I know this might be controversial, but with the exception, because I love the rest of his songs, but Stevie Wonder's Mon Chéri Amour, I could not stand. I had to always fast forward through it on my Walkman.
Oh, just stuck a knife in my heart.
I'm sorry. It was just so slow compared to the others, and so kind of like lovey and slow, and then you've got like the other songs on there, like Heard It Through the Grapevine, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay,
Smokey Robinson.
Yes, Tracks of My Tears, and all of that. And yet, whenever I got to that Stevie Wonder song, I'd be like, no, not having that one. The rest of the songs I absolutely loved, though. But sorry, Jim. I guess we're going to have to wrap things up here, guys, because I hope to see you guys at my premiere in 23 minutes. So I'm going to go and get a bite to eat and make a non-alcoholic beverage. And get prepared for it. So I hope to see you guys there. I hope you guys have enjoyed the chat. And of course, G-Man, I hope you've enjoyed a nice chat ranging from scams to music. I think we've got a lot more to cover talking about music.
Yes, we do.
We'll have to do a music stream together at one point where we each play one of our favorite songs.
Let's do it. I may be doing a stream Saturday night. So, if you want to.
Yeah, I'd love to come along to that. I mean, I hope you don't mind me suggesting songs like Sublime or Warranty and things like that, though.
You just tell them to me. You can feed them to me on Skype, and I'll have them ready to go.
Excellent. Oh, that would be fantastic.
I'll have my either red wine or white wine. I haven't decided which one I'm going to have this week, but.
Well, I've probably departed my drinking sabbatical by then, so I'll definitely have something to drink, I'm sure.
There you go. I appreciate everyone in the chat. Great to see everybody. I want to give a shout out to my favorite dingo, Skeleton Siskey. He's always a good dingo.
Yeah, the premiere's on my other channel, CK, because it's a scam baiting video. It's just a short one, though, only 20 minutes long, but I hope you'll enjoy it. Thank you so much for joining me, G-Man. Pleasure as always. Thank you so much, guys, in the chat for joining us. If you haven't hit that like button and you have enjoyed it, please do so. If you do have any topics that you'd like to hear us discussing in the future, then feel free to leave them in the comments. And I hope to see you all very soon.
Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it.
Thank you, G-Man. Take care, everyone, and good night.